Let's get into the conversation that needs to be had. Jerry Jones, happy birthday. He turned 82 on Sunday.
What a great birthday present.
Yeah, and I think they gave up 82 points just for his birthday. So that was a full-fledged 5-alarm ass-whooping by the Detroit Lions in Dallas yesterday. Man, when the Cowboys lose sometimes at home, they get warked. And I don't know if anybody's ready to just kind of call it what it is, but Dallas just seems like slightly above average. I know that they're banged up. I get all that, but they don't run the football. Ezekiel Elliott's frustrated about his diminished role or whatever the hell he was talking about over the weekend. It feels like there are problems there in Dallas. Congratulations to Detroit. They've got bigger issues when it comes to the Aidan Hutchinson injury.
Yeah, that's a big issue.
Which, by the way, is just gruesome.
That was a nasty injury.
Yeah, wish him well. That sounds.
Thoughts and prayers with him.
Yeah. So there's the Dallas Cowboys situation. Jerry Jones did speak afterwards because then the discussion happens. We've seen one coach already fired in the NFL. Is there the possibility of there being a coaching change? Here was the birthday boy.
What would it take you to evaluate making a head coaching change in season?
Oh, I haven't even considered that. I'm not considering that. Just so you're clear, I'm not considering that.
But you've done it
I wouldn't be a hypothetical in that matter. Do you think I'm an idiot? Do you? Okay, well, I'm not going hypothetical with you about when I'd consider coaching change in light of the timing we're sitting here with. I'm not at all.
Take that, Woody Johnson, you idiot. I mean, that's what he said, isn't it?
That's kind of stray.
He has fired, though, a coach midseason, right? Didn't he fire Wade Phillips?
Yeah.
And that's how Jason Garrett became the interim head coach, then permanent head coach?
Yeah,
Yes.
I think they started like 1-7 or something like that, and he clipped him.
That's probably if I'm assuming, if I know it correctly, that's like the only time he's ever done it, though, right?
Right.
Right. He has been known to at least give him the season to F it all the way up. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess I don't understand, like, what's the hurry? What's going to change things? Look, we could say injuries don't matter. They do in this case. You're talking about both your starting edge rushers, which changes things from a game plan perspective and how you're going to go about your protections, how you're going to go about running the football. I mean, for example, we talk about this game, we're like, whoa, the loss of Aidan Hutchinson. It's like, well, yeah, that changes a lot of things for the Detroit Lions defensively moving forward. So if we want to act like injuries don't matter, we can do that. I personally think it changes a lot of things when you don't have game wreckers, some of the best defensive players in the game healthy for it. So that's the first thing. Like, if we want to get excited about the margin of victory for the Lions, we can. I mean, they absolutely drummed them, dominated them, out-schemed them, any way you want to go about it. But that defense was also missing, 3-4 starters?
Yeah.
I mean, there's not many teams that can be able to overcome that, especially when you're talking about their best player, maybe their overall best player, Micah Parsons, not being there. Like, that's dramatically changes things. So, look, I'm not trying to chalk this up and say, okay, it's an outlier. We're not going to see that again, because we tend to see the Cowboys look like a dumpster fire at times. And maybe that's happened more often under Mike McCarthy for whatever reason, even though I feel like even under Jason Garrett, there's moments like this. I just think I'm not going to make too much of it, all things considered. Like, going into that game, that was easy money, easy bet, meat wagon, cashed in on that one, in part because of all the injuries on the defensive side of the ball for Dallas.
It's a tough position to be in. It really is, because the expectations for Dallas are so high because they're made that way by Jerry Jones. And whenever you have these types of performances, it's ultimately going to lead to what happens next. How do you answer the questions of an ass whipping so bad? How do you justify an ass whipping so bad that they took? Sometimes it's just a team has an off week. Sometimes you have an off week with key players out of the game. I left that game wondering to myself, not so much if the defense can pull it together once they get, their key players back, but where does this offense really stand? I think that's, for me, that became maybe the biggest question that I had coming out of as it applies to the Dallas Cowboys is what is this offense, what is it going to do? You could only muster 3 field goals in 4 quarters. I just don't, for whatever the expectations are, it just comes across to me that when you have a guy that turns the ball over, which it seems like Dak Prescott always turns the ball over in high-pressure situation games. Big games, he's going to throw an interception or 2 or more. It just seems like that's what happens, and his production isn't high. You don't have a backfield. I think you realize that now. By now, you do not have a legitimate backfield. So what are you going to do there? And once you get away from CeeDee Lamb, if you're not feeding CeeDee Lamb the ball on offense, or defense is able to some way, somehow slow down CeeDee Lamb, what do you have? And I think that, to me, that's going to be the biggest question that has to be answered is, how legitimate is this Dallas offense? When we thought that this was a really, really, kind of seemingly a balanced offense that should be able to have good success and have good results, it just doesn't. After watching that game, the biggest question to me is, you get your defense back healthy, great. You have some good defense being played. Scores may not be as bad as 47 points, but 9 points isn't going to win you a game. 9 points is not going to win games. So what happens with your offense? Where do you go from here with your offense?
Last 4 home games. So they're 0-3 at home this season. 0-4 if you go back to the playoff game, the beating they got from Green Bay. Last 4 home games, the defense, or they've allowed 167 points over that span. It's the 3rd most in the span of 4 home games in NFL history. Like, they're getting demolished.
Right.
And the fact that it's at home, that's got to make it just a little bit worse for Jerry Jones. The fact that you go back home and you're getting clowned. Like, it looked like Detroit was clowning them yesterday.
Oh, they were.
Like,
trick
they had
plays, laughing.
Skipper out a wide receiver.
Hook and ladders with offensive linemen. Like, they literally clowned him at home yesterday.
Keep in mind, Dan Campbell he's a former Cowboy. So, he was really enjoying whipping that ass.
And also because the regular season game last year was the Skipper eligible, reporting eligible, and Dallas ended up winning that game, and Detroit was pissed about it. And it's like they had that marked in their calendar, because when they won the playoff game last year, they had Dallas targeted. Like, they were looking at the Cowboys as the team they wanted revenge with. The fact that they had offensive linemen in those spots and they were doing what they were doing the entire game, I mean, it felt like they were making a statement, and the idea was, we're going to embarrass this team at home, get our revenge, and just clown them in front of the world.
I mean, here's the bright side for the Dallas Cowboys fans is you do have a bye. Excuse me, you do have a bye this week, but then after that you got 2 games on the road, so you've played really well on the road. So they got that going for them. Yeah, maybe they do just find a way of winning in San Francisco and Atlanta, 2 of the better teams in the NFC.
The Aidan Hutchinson loss is bad for
Sad,
Detroit.
man. Yeah. Sad for him personally, because he's a budding megastar, but it's also, that's going to be very difficult for the Lions to overcome a loss like that. He is such a pivotal piece to that team. Right. Both sides of the ball too, by the way. His presence impacts both sides of that ball, let alone the idea of what he brings to the table as a defender. It's just,
I got an idea.
Horrible loss. What you got?
I mean, isn't there a disgruntled defensive end in Las Vegas?
Yeah, what's his name? Or one in
Max Crosby.
One in Philadelphia right now that won't go down the Parkway or down the highway.
Technically he's with the Jets.
Yeah,
but he was in Philly when he got traded.
I mean, he's still living in Philly. I think he's still living in Philly. Isn't that why Woody told him to get on the road?
Maybe. I don't know.
I think he's still living there.
I'm just saying, if you're the Las Vegas Raiders, and as you watch this season go up in flames, I know there's going to be a lot of Raiders fans who are going to hate this, but I feel like let's just be honest about where we're at. We're building towards the future for the Raiders.
Max Crosby, huh?
Why not try to get some draft value in exchange for him?
Where are you going with this, Brady?
Well, he's from Detroit. He played at Eastern Michigan.
Well, why has it got to be Max?
I mean,
I'm just saying.
Why couldn't it be
get a lot back for him? Why not try to look into it?
Hey, why couldn't it be Hassan?
Yeah, why is it got to
be Max?
Why is it got to be Max?
Because in order for it to be Hassan, they got to get him to actually figure out if he wants to play football.
I mean, who else?
Top Jones.
Who else? Bosa?
He's got to get an agent.
I mean, one of the Bosas could be disgruntled. I
mean, maybe T.J. Watt. If we're gonna go out on this lane,
maybe let's
he's playing like the defensive player of the year
bring
right now.
JJ out of retirement. He's doing well on them commercials.
Oh, there's more than come on. We got plenty. We got plenty in the league. We got plenty at the DN spot.
Hutchinson was the favorite to win.
Trey Hendrickson. We go after Hendrickson.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, I keep going.
Hey, both their ends are. So,
There's going to be a PFF tab where it's just like white DNs, white defensive players.
Yeah, can we do that? Can we
system?
Can we develop a site like that?
Folks
for white
taking
guys.
over. Yeah. Whiteness.
Like you click a tab and it's all white. Like that's just we get all the info on players. Like the cornerback market that's been taken over by Brady and I over the past week or so.
I'm not taking any credit for that.
Getting bad out here.
No one's feeling that though. No one's feeling like the Detroit Lions should maybe make a move. I mean, I feel like I look at this team and they're a Super Bowl contender. They're definitely a contender in the NFC. And Hutchinson, so the tibia is a weight bearing. That's the weight bearing bone. That's
a wrap. It's a wrap.
Like he had surgery after he broke it yesterday, and I don't know exactly the time frame on it, but it's going to be a while before he's able to get back out there and weight bearing. So I guess in the short term, unless they feel really good about someone else they have internally, maybe you see who's out there. Now, in all seriousness, maybe you do call the Jets and say, hey, we'll take Hassan Reddick off your chest. Maybe is Max Crosby frustrated? Trey Hendrickson wanted something before the season. In all seriousness, joking aside, maybe the Bengals now, even though they won last night, maybe that's a team that, depending on how the next week or two goes, where you can get an edge rusher who could come in and give you, an immediate impact player. It might make some sense. So.
I mean, it does pretty much seal, if he stays healthy, T.J. Watt winning Defensive Player of the Year, because Hutchinson was the favorite. T.J. Watt's next in line, so he should take over that spot there. But, yeah, it sucks, and especially considering Hutchinson's a Detroit guy, and like he really was, in a lot of ways, the face of that franchise and is the face of that franchise, and to see him go down and suffer the injury.
Bro, that was nasty.
You could tell.
I feel so bad.
You could tell, like, those guys there were devastated, and you just knew, oh, that's it. And then,
you know what's sad about that moment? Not to cut you off, but what's horrible is I'm looking at it and I'm like, please don't be Aidan. Please don't be Aidan.
Anybody else?
It could be any. The rest of y'all jokers. The rest of y'all jokers could be hurt.
Hey,
but,
your tibia is not worth as much.
I was like, no.
Yeah, it sucks.
And
man.
then it was him. But man, it was
the worst part is though too of all of that, and like watching him and like any player go through an injury, is when they immediately know the severity of it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Bro, he was taking off his gloves. Like he was like, I need to get everything off and like to an operating room immediately to get surgery. Like you could tell he knew how bad it was, and also that's one that it comes with a lot of pain, man. Like that's a painful injury to deal with. For guys I know that have dealt with that injury, it is nasty. So, thoughts and prayers with him. Hopefully he's got a speedy recovery. But man, that's awful.
It also shows you how violent the game is, because that's a leg whip.
It's the realities that exist.
Like in a live play, he just is running and his leg whips into somebody else and
that's
snaps.
It. Yeah, that's it. I'm telling you, my son did it the same thing in this game this past weekend, and ended up with a high ankle sprain. Whipped the leg, like got caught getting the tackle in traffic, body whips around, leg gets caught, foot gets caught, body falls on it, ankle, boom. Like it's the harsh realities that we face as players in the game, and sometimes it rears its ugly face at us in the game. But that's why they say it's a warrior sport. It's a warrior's game, man. Because stuff like that can, especially in the trenches, it's just crazy things can happen there, man. So
you happen to hit Aleem McNeil, who's like the largest human being on their defensive front. So that didn't help the situation either.
That sucks.